excellent.
Well, it's February and love is in the air, and everywhere you look, people are talking about love and relationships. And as it happens, if you're listening or watching this episode on the day of release, tomorrow is actually Valentine's Day. But today, I want to take a different angle on relationships. I'm talking about the ones that we have at work. Not the kind that you have to report to HR, but the relationships that shape your team culture. I want to ask you a question. How healthy are the team dynamics where you work? Are they thriving, or is there room for improvement? See, whether you're leading a team or you're just part of a team, we all know that team dynamics can make or break our work environment. So in this episode, I'll share a simple 10-step framework that will help you build a healthier, stronger team dynamic. So if you've ever wondered how to create a workplace where people truly enjoy working together, well, this one's for you. So welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Well, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Mind Your Business podcast. Hey, as always, if this brings value to your life, do me a favor. I want you to like, subscribe, and share this with others. Also, leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcast. This helps to add value to as many people as possible. Well, various surveys have found that around 90% of the workforce say they have a coworker that annoys them. Do you have a coworker that is annoying to you? Well, believe it or not, this has caused 57% of these employees to consider quitting their job. Some have even narrowed it down to 5 different categories of annoying coworkers. So I want you to just see if you know anyone that fits these categories. I know it's not you, but see if you know someone who fits one of these. And if so, I would really love to hear about it in the comments or on social media. So there's 5 different sort of categories people would say. Actually, 33% said credit stealer. They deal with someone who's always stealing the credit, taking the credit for something that they did. Have you ever had someone who stole the credit for something that you did? It's a malfunctioning team. 32% said a micromanager. People that are on the team, people that you work with that are always standing over you, taking it from you, won't let you do your work. They have to have their hands in everything that's going on. A chronic complainer. 30% of respondents said, I work with someone who complains all the time. Every day is a case of the Mondays. And then 30% of people said, personal space intruder. Someone who's all up in my personal space. They're in my space bubble. And then my favorite one of them all, number 5, is 27% of people said the lunch thief. So you packed your lunch, you brought it to work, you put it in the fridge, you got hungry, took your lunch break, go to eat your lunch, and there is nothing there. People work in dysfunctional environments with dysfunctional people on dysfunctional teams. Now, regardless of the cause, we know that a negative team environment creates high turnover rates, low productivity, poor collaboration because people don't want to work together. It limits creativity, and ultimately, it damages the reputation of the employer. The place is known for people being unhappy in unhealthy work environments. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking as you're either watching this or you're listening to this. I already know all of this. I live this every day. Well, I'm fully aware that we all experience dysfunctional teams. So the question is, what is it that we do about it? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm about to share a simple 10-step framework to building a healthy team dynamic. Now, if you're an owner or you're a manager, you can follow each one of these steps from the very beginning. We're setting the foundation to build on, or you can identify which one of these steps need to be strengthened in your organization. Now, if you're an employee, you can either share this with your boss or your manager. And I will also remind you that you help to shape the culture where you are. So As you are working every day in the environments that you're in and with the team that you serve with, this is going to be beneficial with you as well. And oh, by the way, I think you can apply this even at home or in any organized team environment that you find yourself in. So let's start with number one, provide purpose. Provide purpose. If you watch or listen, you're not surprised by that. So I won't spend a lot of time here because I routinely discuss this throughout other episodes on our podcast. But for those who may be listening or watching for the first time, or for those of us who just need to hear it again, I firmly believe, listen, that purpose is the most important ingredient to every aspect of our lives, even our work life. And it's not just me. Studies support this as well. Just a few years ago, the Harvard Business Review, they reported that 9 out of 10 people, listen to this, are willing to earn less money to do more meaningful work. Now, you think it's all about money, but that's not the case. More people would rather do something meaningful than to make more money. See, people are motivated by making a difference. So, at the very foundational level, each person who is employed by our organization needs to not only know what they're doing, but they need to know why it is that they're doing it. Think about it this way. What good does your business do for the world? Big picture. What good is your business doing to impact the world around you? And when you can answer that, clarify each individual role in your organization and how that role contributes to that good. And then let each and every person know that what they do matters and that each role that they serve is important and that everyone working together to create good in the world is a big deal coming from your organization. See, putting purpose in every position sets the tone for everything that will follow. Because when people show up to do what they do in your organization, they're not just doing a task, they're not just working for pay, but they're working for purpose, knowing that what I do, it matters. And then number two, the second thing I would tell you to build this healthy team environment or healthy team culture is to employ your values. See, number one and number two are all about you as the leader setting the tone, the foundation, before you even get your employees in the building. In Season 1, Episode 13, we discussed the importance of your company values. Values are the fundamental beliefs and the principles that are going to guide your organization. See, values are important because these are the ways that everyone in your organization, they all agree in how they're going to work together. See, healthy values would include things like honesty, integrity, teamwork, collaboration, I think hard work, and fun. And then you can determine the things that are the most important to you. And when these are all defined, it just helps keeps everyone in your organization in alignment. It sets the standard for conduct, and ultimately, it shapes your company culture. So in the context of creating a culture where healthy teams and coworkers thrive, start with igniting passion and purpose, and then allow your values to be the guardrails to keep it focused. So before you move out into even having others inside of your organization, the passion and the reason that they show up and the values that keep that in place are incredibly important and set by you as the leader. And then number three, you need to hire for culture. As you move into bringing people inside of your organization and you begin hiring, you need to hire for culture. The best teams aren't just made up of the most skilled people. Many times we just try to find the people with the most skills. It's not about the most skilled people. The best organizations are made up of the right people. So the best organizations aren't made up of just skilled people. They're made up of the right people. See, when you prioritize cultural fit in the hiring process, you're not just filling positions. You're not just looking for warm bodies. You're actually building a team that shares your vision, reinforces your values, and then genuinely enjoy working together. See, the truth is, most leaders dismiss this. They dismiss this one key step and they focus more on simply filling the role. And I get it. There's pressure. You have to have someone filling the role in that spot. I know it's hard to hire. I know it's costly, and I know it's time consuming. But this step, I believe, is so critical. For example, think about Chick-fil-A. Their success isn't just about their chicken. It's about the people that's behind the chicken. See, Chick-fil-A hires team members who genuinely enjoy serving others. And if you go to Chick-fil-A, it shows in every single interaction. If you've had Chick-fil-A, you've heard this: my pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure to serve you today. See, these aren't just employees that have been hired to fill a role. They're ambassadors for the culture. They speak it. They carry it. With every fiber of what they do, Chick-fil-A just has a different culture. So let me give some tips on how to hire for your culture. So if you're trying to fill roles and you're trying to reinforce your culture so that you can have a healthy team environment, these tips will help. Now, all of this takes place during the interview process. So you start from the beginning, and there are several just key things that I think you can do. One is to ask behavioral questions in addition to questions about their skill. You know you're going to ask questions about what they can do and what their abilities are, but ask behavioral questions. Like, ask them about their ideal work environment. Like, if you could just explain a place, an environment, a culture that you would thrive in, what would that look like? Ask them what they're passionate about, both in their personal lives and their professional lives. Many of us will skip this. We get right to business, but learn about the person. What fires you up? What gets you excited? What do you do on the weekend? Tell me what makes you just passionate. And see, when you can get in their personal and professional life, and you do that across all of your team, you learn who is in sync together with the staff that you have. And here's a key question. Ask them about their previous coworkers and ask how their previous coworkers would describe them. See, when they think through an outside perspective of how other people have perceived them, it gives you a context of who they actually are. Another option that I think is really important is to involve your team in the process. I think this is a good strategy because these are the people who will be working with the potential team member each and every day. See, they're going to have a better sense of whether this candidate will mesh well with the rest of the group. So I say utilize trusted people who you think carry your culture well, who embodies your values, and let them be the sounding board for the potential employee that you're going to hire. And then lastly, I would say prioritize attitude over skills. You can teach someone a skill, but an attitude, it's harder to change. It's hard to change someone's attitude. You can empower and equip. So if you have to choose between someone with slightly less experience, but they've got a great attitude, and then someone with stellar skills, but a poor attitude, I say go with the person whose values align with yours and that they will be a best fit for your culture simply because of values, attitude. I don't think you will ever regret making that decision. And then number 4, this is important. Say it again and again. What is it? What are you saying again and again? You're recasting your purpose. You're giving your vision and your values. And then you're constantly in the trenches with these new people who you've hired for these fit. Cast it over and over and over. I know we get tired of saying the same thing. You say, how many times do I have to say this? But research shows that people need to hear something multiple times before it sticks. Some marketing experts even say that a message must be repeated 7 to 10 times for an audience to finally internalize it. You just have to repeat it over and over. So put this in the context of your company culture, your team environment. It means that simply casting vision for your company culture just once, either during onboarding or at an annual meeting, it's not enough. So you need to find a way to just weave this into daily conversation, team meetings, emails, any other way, any other chance you have to remind people of what matters most. And as a leader, don't just assume your team will just adopt and live your culture just because you've said it before. You have to be the one to continually cast the vision and direct the culture. Just keep saying it. Find new ways to model it. Because I'm telling you, if you will do this and commit to it yourself, eventually your team will start to own it. And that's what creates a healthy team dynamic. So don't miss the importance of continually reminding your team of what makes your culture healthy. And then number 5, foster a sense of ownership. You need to foster a sense of ownership among your team. See, when you lead with purpose, and then remember you govern that with values, and you hire the right people around all of those elements, teams begin to feel pride in what they do. They feel as though their work matters. So in this culture, employees don't compete with one another, they complement one another. And then everyone realizes, hey, we're all on the same team and we're all working toward the same goal. And in my experience, you're always going to have some who are just going to do the bare minimum. You're going to do all that you can to give purpose, align the values, hire for the right fit, but you're going to have some people who are going to sneak through and they're just going to do the bare minimum. But in a truly healthy culture, they won't last because see, the team, they will outperform and they will leave that person behind. When everyone owns what they do, they won't settle for others who don't contribute to the same standards as everyone else because the team is so healthy and they're all in it together. So leaders, empower your team to own it. Let them make decisions. Let them succeed and let them fail. And don't take credit for the wins. Don't take it away from them. Let them own their success. Recognize them. Don't lead like most organizations where people are made to just simply feel like hired help. No. Empower and foster ownership. And then speaking of success, that brings me to number 6. Celebrate success and failure. I'm going to say that one again. Celebrate both success and failure. And I won't stay here long, but I think it needs to be said. Many leaders tell me they tried to give someone ownership. They tried to give this to their team, but their team made so many mistakes that they would just rather do it for themselves, or they begin to limit employees from taking risks or making decisions. This is a huge mistake, I think, that creates an unhealthy team culture because it just begins to paralyze your team. Some of the greatest lessons that we learn, they come from our failures, not our successes. The things that made you are your both successes and your failures. Don't eliminate failure. My rule of thumb is this, is that if someone makes a mistake, but they can learn and grow from it, then the mistake was worth it. Because over time, as they begin to learn, as they begin to grow from the successes and the failures, as a team, everyone gets better because it's a supportive culture. It's a team environment. But if your team feels that they're only celebrated if they do everything right, listen, you will never get the full potential from your team. So don't just celebrate their success, but also celebrate their failure. A healthy team culture, listen, is one where people feel that they can both win and lose together. And then number 7, recognize and reward. Recognize and reward. Now get ready for your mind to be blown. Did you know that when your team feels seen and appreciated for all their hard work, it motivates them to continue performing at a high level? Shocking thought, right? Well, acknowledging the success of your team is one of the most simple and impactful things that we can do. So why do we neglect it? That didn't blow your mind. That statement was not ground-shaking, earth-shattering. But the reality is we don't do that enough. In conversations with different employees from different organizations, people tell me all the time that it doesn't really matter what I do. No one notices. I'm not going to get a raise, and no, I don't want another pizza party. So here's a common cycle. See if this fits your environment. Your team works hard. They put in all the extra effort. Late nights, extra hours. They've put in the time and the effort. And they get a successful outcome. But they get no recognition or reward and are then just tasked with the next project. Some team members, because of this, they keep performing at their best in spite of a lack of recognition and a lack of reward. But other team members, they start slacking because they say, what's the use? Why am I working hard when there's no recognition and there's no reward? So as a result, you now have an unhealthy and uneven team. Eventually, there's going to be problems among the team members because some aren't carrying their weight, some aren't doing what they need to be doing. And so some of those team members, they quit. So you rehire, and then eventually you end up in the same old cycle with brand new people. So here's the foundational issue. You may have provided purpose, you put values as guardrails, you enforce it with communication, you said it over and over, and then you let your team run with it. But if you don't follow your words with action, meaning reward and recognition, people are deflated. See, they bought into something that didn't have a payoff, and this will cripple your team. So the question is, does your team receive a payoff? Don't miss this important step to not only recognize, but also to reward a team for a job well done. And then I think number 8's important, that I don't think happens in a lot of our organizations. Promote from within. Promote from within. I'm a firm believer that when you need to fill a role in your organization, if you possibly can, you do it from within. Think about it. You have individuals on your team who have grown in this healthy culture that you have created, but when you bring someone in from the outside, you get the culture and the mindset that they bring with them. You don't know how they have been trained. You don't know what environments they've worked with. They're going to bring this and infuse it into your culture. So it actually can be counterproductive to every bit of this hard work that you've just done to lay a foundation and build something that is healthy for teams. Motivation is another reason to promote from within. Motivation. See, one of the top complaints from employees right now in the marketplace is that they don't feel there are opportunities for them to grow. They can't grow in the company that they are in. But if someone feels that there are opportunities for them to be promoted where they are, they'll work hard to achieve it, and they'll be loyal to the company that they're in. See, this is a very attractive quality to have in your organization. This is something that's important. Not only does this motivate the people that you have, but I think it can attract that you can attract and even hire people of greater quality, if that makes sense to you, because they're seeing that there's opportunities and people have grown in that organization. People begin to talk about it. The team dynamic is healthy. And just simply because you've created a positive team environment, this gives people an opportunity to advance. So it motivates not only your team, but it also motivates people that you want to attract. So this leads me to number 9, invest in your team. Man, this is so incredibly important. Investing in your team is one of the smartest things that you can do. When you provide opportunities for growth, whether that's through training, mentorship, or professional development, you're not just building skills, you're building loyalty and you're building confidence. See, research shows that organizations that prioritize employee development, they have a lower turnover rate and higher morale. See, when your team sees that you're committed to their success, they become more committed to the success of the organization. And in the context of our conversation today, investing in your entire team means everyone gets better. There are some organizations that may invest in a select portion of their team, but the most successful teams, they have equal opportunities for growth. So here's an idea. I help organizations build healthy teams. I would love to come and encourage, empower, and equip all of your employees. But listen, if it's not me, do something that gives everyone an opportunity for growth. Invest in their personal and professional growth. And not just for some, do it for all. Then number 10, have fun. Number 10, have fun. If we're going to work hard together, we need to play hard together. It's no secret. Most people hate their jobs. I bet I would be confident in saying your employees are costing you more money than just their salary, simply because they aren't engaged at work and they're not giving their best. But what could change if your team actually looked forward to Monday morning? As the leader, ask yourself, when is the last time we had fun at work? When is the last time that my team had fun at work. See, studies show that workplaces with an element of fun, they experienced increased employee engagement, lower levels of stress, and greater job satisfaction. It's just common sense. If people like where they work and who they work with, they won't hate their jobs. See, people build healthy relationships and friendships over what they enjoy and over what they have in common. And if your team is never given an opportunity to have fun together, they may never know what they enjoy. They may never create those bonds of friendship because all they do is they go in and they do their task in a place that they don't like each and every day. But there's so many things you can do. Now, I won't dig into all of those ideas today, but there's so many different ideas of fun that you can place or employ into your workplace. Do something to create an environment where people want to be. Now, if you need to turn your culture around and you need to build healthy teams, I would love to help you. Listen, I work with organizations just like yours, and I can provide a comprehensive culture assessment that just helps to determine the health of your teams, and then we provide a plan of action. So I would love to have you reach out and just see how I can help you get your teams healthy. And then do me a favor, if you got value from today's episode, do me a favor, share this with a friend, a boss, a manager, someone who needs to hear this message. And then don't forget, please like, subscribe, share, leave a review so I can add as much value to as many people as possible. And hey, don't miss our next episode because we're going to talk about conflict and criticism. As we talk about our teams and getting healthy in our work environment, I want to continue this conversation talking about conflict and criticism. This is something I hear about a lot when it comes to our teamwork. So I'm going to show how we can both give criticism and receive it. So don't miss the next episode. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Mind Your Business podcast. Until next time, mind your business and go be a team player.